Okay, so it was the big story of the weekend here in the state of Louisiana. Look, when rookies are finalizing their deals, traditionally only first-round picks get a fully guaranteed deal. Well, earlier in the offseason, Jaden Higgins, the Texans wide receiver, he got a fully guaranteed deal. Carson Swessinger, the linebacker out of UCLA, he got a fully guaranteed deal as well. Now, they were the top two picks of the second round, so it led to a little bit of a holdout from a lot of second-round rookies. And Tyler Shough didn't have a contract as of this weekend. Well, that has all changed. The New Orleans Saints and rookie quarterback Tyler Shough have agreed to terms on a 4-year contract worth $10.795 million, fully guaranteed. Of course, Adam Schefter reported this on Saturday. He said they agreed to the full contract. At pick number 40, Shough is the last player selected in the 2025 draft to secure a fully guaranteed deal. So as I just mentioned, normally it's the first round pick, right? It's the top 32. Maybe this sets a precedent to where, hey, that top 40, because Shough was at 40. Maybe that top 40 going forward will get that guaranteed money. Of course they did this year. The contract also includes an annual roster bonus structure where Shough will receive the majority of his compensation each year up front during the first week of training camp. So it's nothing new here. The Saints are kind of tinkering with a contract, trying to find the best way to get the player the money that they believe they deserve and to help them out in the cap situation. I got Ross Jackson actually on LouisianaSports.net put out a really interesting article. Obviously, he linked Adam Schefter's tweet, but he mentioned, look, typically a roster bonus, the guaranteed amount of money that is contingent upon a player being on the roster at a designated time. No details on what it's going to look like, what amount of money they're going to get. But Ross said in those circumstances, bonuses kick in during the same year. And he even put an example, like if a player is on the roster at a date ahead of the 2026 training camp and their 2026 bonus kicks in. Otherwise, teams work ahead. That would mean guaranteeing a 2027 bonus on a date later in 2026. So a lot of jargon there, but look, it doesn't matter how this deal got done. It doesn't matter fully guaranteed, not fully guaranteed. Like, what matters is that it did get done, because training camp is starting up in just a few days, and you're not going to want to have Spencer Rattler out there taking all the first team reps by default. Now, at the end of training camp, if Rattler separates himself, then that's fine. Let him take all the first team reps. But I want Shough and Rattler out there both battling for that quarterback one spot, because it's good for all involved. Competition makes you better. And look, again, if Rattler indeed wins this job, I don't want it to be by default. I don't want him to say, oh, well, Shough's a camp holdout. The contract dispute's going on. He's behind the 8 ball a little bit. He had some catching up to do being a rookie anyways. We're going to have to wait, and maybe start in week 4, week 5, week 6 of the season because he's not up to speed. Well, that's no longer the case. Like, you want to see and you need to see how the Saints offense flows with both guys. The more options, the better, is how I've always looked at it. Like, you look at camps across the country right now. Like, there's a lot of rookie quarterbacks battling for jobs, but all of them were scheduled to be at camp. The one we were wondering about was Tyler Shough. He's going to be there. Spencer Rattler is going to be there. Obviously, those are the top 2 guys, but look, Jake Hayner's in the mix. You see Hunter Decker's right here on the picture behind me. There are 4 guys out there. You want as many guys as possible because this is a revamp. Like, you brought in Kellen Moore to build the offense the way he wanted to. He felt comfortable enough spending a top 40 overall pick on Tyler Shough. Clearly, that's the guy that he would like to run his offense. Now, Shough's still going to have to earn the job. He's not going to come in and say, hey, I drafted you high. You're the guy I want to go with. Go out there even though you've struggled in camp. He still has to earn the job. But the fact that he's going to be out there with the contract negotiations behind him, fully bought in, ready to go in camp, that tells me that he's fully bought in. I'm excited about this. As far as who wins the battle, I don't know. I mean, look, I just laid out that Shough was the guy that Kellen Moore drafted, right? That Doug Nussmeier wanted in the building as well. That's the guy that they targeted. And I know what you're saying. Oh, well, they could have drafted a Jackson Dart in the first round or anything like this. There were reports early on, like 2 months before the draft, that Tyler Shough was a name to keep an eye on for the New Orleans Saints. So it's not one of those things where, oh, the top guys on our board were taken. We kind of waited till 40 and kind of took whatever was left. Shough was a guy that was really, really high on the Saints board. This is a guy that they like. I kind of think that gives him an advantage. Now, obviously, Spencer Rattler has the experience in the league because he had been there a year before, but he wasn't a full-time starter. Now, he got a lot of starts, and he played a lot just because Derek Carr was injured for the entire year. The entire offense was injured for the entire year. Again, Rattler has the advantage being in his second year, but Tyler Shough's not your normal rookie. Everyone loves to point out, oh, man, Tyler Shough's old. He's 25 years old, which I've always thought is stupid. Like, yeah, he's a quarterback. He's not a running back. Like, if Tyler Shough comes in, works out, becomes your starting quarterback for the next decade, one, he's only 35 years old at that point, and quarterbacks are playing well into their 40s now. And secondly, no one's going to care how old the guy was when you drafted him if he's your starting quarterback for the next decade. Because if you're starting quarterback for the next 10 years, well, then it worked out wonderfully being there at the 40th overall pick. You grabbed your future franchise quarterback. Olave appears to be healthy right now. We'll see the health of Rashid Shaheed, but right now, the Saints are about as healthy as they can be going into camp. And I understand they don't have a lot of top-tier guys. There's not any guys out there you're like, hey, these guys are going to be all-pro. The Saints roster is loaded. You have Olave, you have Rashid Shaheed, you have Brandon Cooks. That's a decent three. Now, I'm not sure you have a bona fide number one, but all three of those guys can play. Cook's a little bit older. Rashid and Olave have had some injury issues, but when they're all three fully healthy and ready to go, they're talented players. And last year, you had no depth behind Alvin Kamara. When Kamara needed a breather, you had Kendre Miller, who was hurt and wasn't playing. You had Jordan Mims, who just didn't give you a whole lot of production anyways. Now, behind Alvin Kamara, you have Devin Neal, who, by all accounts, this staff loves. They drafted in the 6th round out of Kansas. You still have Kendre Miller. If he can stay healthy, a lot of people are still high on him. You signed Clyde Edwards-Helaire halfway through the year last year because you were so injured. He's still out there at camp. You just brought in Cam Akers. Now, that's 2 Achilles injuries, but he's a year and a half removed from that second one. Can he get back into form? He's a guy that meant a lot to a Los Angeles Rams team that won the Super Bowl. During that playoff run, you saw a lot of Cam Akers. He's been in some big-time moments. He's produced in big-time moments. The offensive line is another. Like, the offensive line was a straight-up liability last year. That's why Carr was hurt. That's why all your running backs behind Alvin Kamara were hurt. The offensive line was shaky. You bring in Kelvin Banks. It looks like he's going to slide right in there to left tackle. Eric McCoy, in my opinion, one of the best centers in all of football. Taliesin Fuaga likely sliding over to right tackle. Then you move Trevor Penning to guard. You still have Cesar Ruiz, who has been shaky at times, but that's still a guy who you spent a first-round pick on just a few years ago. Can you finally get him some protection between McCoy and the tackle on the other side of him? Maybe try to get as much as you can out of a Cesar Ruiz. So between Banks, Ruiz, McCoy, Trevor Penning, who I hope can work out at that guard spot, and then Taliesin Fuaga at right tackle, I'm not saying this offensive line is going to be best in the league. I'm not saying they're going to be a top 5 unit in the league. Can they be serviceable? Can they be stable? Can they stay healthy and all play together? If you can get any of that, you're in a lot better shape than you were a year ago. We'll see how the quarterback battle shakes out, but with Tyler Shough's contract in the rearview mirror, you got him, you got Spencer Rattler battling it out for QB1, and as a whole, you're pretty healthy overall heading into training camp.